You are now tuned in to the War Party Paranormal Radio Show, where we will be discussing actual audio and visual clips captured during the team's investigations. Hear firsthand eyewitness accounts from fellow team members and special guests. Now smash that like, subscribe, and follow button, and let's get ready to welcome team leader and your host, Eric Vanderlaan, and tech specialist and co-host, Mike Del Coro.
The weekend is over. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to reality, right, Mike?
That's right.
Yep, and reality it is, and here we are. We've been gone for a week, so it seems like it's forever, but we're back in the saddle again, and we got a great show for you. And I'm Eric Vanderlaan. I'm your host of the War Party Paranormal Radio Show and team leader of War Party Paranormal Research. And right over here.
What's up, guys? My name is Mike Del Coro. I'm the tech specialist, case manager, and investigator with War Party Paranormal, and your co-host. And we got a great show for you guys tonight. I'm going to let Eric tell you what we're getting into.
Yeah, we do. So not too long ago, we were up in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. Got to meet some great people. And one of those great people is going to be on this show. And he's a very special guest. He's the paranormal host of probably the most haunted place in the U.S., Fort Mifflin, up there in Pennsylvania. It goes back all the way to Revolutionary days, seen a lot of death. So I got a short little intro from a very cool news clip that I found. And I had to chop it up a little bit because it was pretty long. And we all know we can't play long videos here. So you want to see the intro, Mike?
I sure do.
All right, here we go.
Is Fort Mifflin. Some call it the Alamo on the Delaware because it never lost a battle.
They left the flag flying before they evacuated. The fort was defeated, it was completely destroyed, but it never surrendered.
So you had Civil War death, you had the Revolutionary War deaths. When the fort was being rebuilt under Adams, it was during the yellow fever epidemic of Philadelphia. So you had the yellow fever deaths. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deaths that would have happened here. It's unique. Layers of history here, layers of death. Casemate 5, and during the Civil War, this is where the Union prisoners were kept. It would have been your deserters, murder, any kind of military crime. You can be in here and you hear footsteps coming down towards you, guards walking back and forth. You hear moans, a lot of moans, because the conditions were horrific. These people were basically sleeping in their own human waste. There's a screaming lady that we hear. It's a blood curdling scream. Yeah. Shadow figures run down this back wall here. When this is no lights in here, it's pitch black. There's no external lights. You can't even see the hand in front of your face. The quartermaster store is part of it with the bathroom. There's been sightings in there. There's a woman that gets sighted in the woman's room. Is when I know that somebody has seen the woman in there because they come running out screaming. You can be in the men's room and you hear somebody in the stalls and you find out there is no one in the stalls, it's empty. Or tour guide soldier that usually is around the powder magazine. There's no tour guide on duty and people will come out and rave about this tour guide that went into explicit details about the bombardment, and there's nobody here that was giving tours.
That sounds like your type of place, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. I'm getting ready to book a flight.
Right, exactly. Actually, we were going to go there, but the Boy Scouts had an event there, but we are going to eventually be there. And I'm not going to waste any more time and bring on Greg O'Brien, the paranormal host at Fort Mifflin.
Awesome.
Hey, hi, guys.
Hey, what's up, Greg?
On the show.
Thank
you for having me.
So you got a probably some really cool reports and seen some stuff, huh? I bet.
Yeah, definitely. Like I always tell everybody, the fort is unique in that, it predates the country, laid out in 1771 by the British. It was your longest active military fort all the way up through the Korean War. It experienced death by with the siege in 1777. You had 250 patriots killed, and then being rebuilt during yellow fever epidemic, and then it was a military prison in the Civil War, and basically it was dysentery. The conditions just spread throughout, and we're right on the Delaware River. There's drownings all the time. Just a few years ago, some eagles were there to do an Eagle Scout project. They actually found a lower human jawbone that was
wow.
down by on the riverbank. There's executions, hangings, and firing squads. So you have all these layers of death and all through the history in it. So it's really unique.
Wow.
And I remember when we met you, when we went up to the White Hill Mansion Paragon, there was one picture that you showed me that just blew my mind away. And that was of that, I guess he was like a revolutionary soldier.
Yeah,
with
he
the
was
hat.
in Casemate 5. Yeah, that was by a school group, fourth grader, and just took that. And
Look at
Yeah,
that.
there it is right there. Look
and
how amazing.
yeah, it's been
That's wild.
sent out to a bunch of different professional photographers. It's not a Photoshop or it's not an app. When you can actually see the actual picture, you can actually see like the stones behind them. I mean, it's just perfectly straight down. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And he was just standing there, and that happens a lot with school groups that they come around and there's a spirit just hanging out and hanging over and watching everything.
And they
So
were just randomly taking pictures, and they happened to
yes,
capture this one.
yes.
That's
And
amazing.
they didn't
Yeah,
notice
they
it
didn't know
until
about it. What the one got home, the mother was going through reviewing everything, and she's like, what was this? Who was this? And we didn't have a tour guide that was there with them doing that. So
That's probably
yeah.
one of the best captures I've ever seen. I
me
mean, look
too.
at the arms and the sleeves and the hat, the brim of the
You can even
hat.
see
It's
like the
just,
buttons on the coat and I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very unique, and the revolution. The tour guide is seen multiple times, and it's usually when there's a lot of times school groups or when there's hardly anybody in the fort. During the week, Wednesdays through Fridays, we don't have any tour guides unless we have some special events.
So
And
you believe that is an apparition of a tour guide, not of an actual soldier?
I think he's an actual soldier because when people do interact with them, and he'll go in explicit details of the bombardment of 1777. I mean,
really
So you
like
think
he's
he like
talking and everything.
he's talking and everything, and people, like they just rave about this tour guide that was in there, and we say, well, can you describe him? And it's always a revolutionary soldier, and and it's like, well, there
so
wasn't any tour guides in there, so
so you think he
they all
just took it
freak out.
upon himself to like say, hey, you know what, these people are here to see us. I'm gonna walk people around and talk to them and
Yeah, I,
uh,
I I really do. I mean, yeah, I haven't gotten a tour from him yet. I've actually seen him, but I just haven't
Oh,
gotten a
really?
tour from him. Yeah, he
how long have you been affiliated or investigating or
I've been
affiliated with
going
Fort?
there for years. This area's got a lot of rich history. When my son was younger, we would go to every reenactment there was in the area: Paoli Battlefield, Brandywine Battlefield. Anthony Wayne's house, just everywhere. And then was going to the fort all the time. And then he got it when he was in Scouts. That was the first time we stayed over, and that was before Ghost Hunters was there and everything. And it was it was a weekend after the reenactment of the siege weekend. The siege of the 5-week siege in 1777. We always have a big reenactment for the anniversary. Second week of November, and we camped. The scouts, we came the weekend after that, and my God, the fort was like, I mean, like I say, it was just nuts. So that got me involved, interested in the paranormal, and I started eventually volunteering and helping out the fort. So it's been over 20 years there at the fort, but
Oh, wow.
officially the paranormal tour guide now, the
You
paranormal
think
host, about 7 years now.
Let me
Yep.
know if you need to hire another one. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Up there in the splittity second.
Yeah, well, they're good because they know our names. They interact with us.
Mhm.
I mean, it's everyone that's been there for a while. They know us. And it's pretty.
Do you,
We all have our experiences.
do you think it's more active when the children are around? Like,
It
or
is when there's children around. It's very active, especially obviously when there's a reenactment like we just
That's what I
had.
was going to ask you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
July.
triggers?
Tuesday, July 4th. We were open and had all kinds of activities going on, and a lot of kids again. And then we had a group Friday night, and it was nuts for them. It was going off the charts for them. But yeah, with the kids, the old. Wayne, who was the old groundskeeper that's retired, would always say, with the kids, he said, they just suck that energy off of them, and they're there running around, and they just between scouts or school groups and stuff, they latch onto them and just
Greg, maybe we should have hung out with the scouts so we had that opportunity. Maybe that would have stirred
yeah, that
things
would have been
up.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah.
then so with all your experience there and everything, do you feel that it's mostly friendly?
It's mostly friendly. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like we don't allow provoking at all. You respect
for
the
sure.
dead, respect the
That's
fort.
respectful. Yeah.
And I always tell people, don't be a zacker. But
Yeah.
but it's it's just they're respectful. There could be some, I mean, when it was a military prison, there was political prisoners, civilian prisoners housed there too. They were just, if they opposed the war, opposed to Lincoln, they were just rounded up throughout the country. Tens of thousands of Americans that people don't know about that were imprisoned. There's a great book. It's American Bastille: History of Illegal Arrests and Imprisonments, American Citizens in the Northern and Border States.
That's one hell of a title.
Yeah, it goes on, and so there's two parts of it, but we got, found out list of two groups of political prisoners were housed at the fort by these. So this guy wrote it in the 1870s after the Civil War to list as many political prisoners as he could. But most of the I would say the not happy spirits are your political prisoners.
Okay.
Because, they were just rounded up and thrown in without a trial. And when it was a military prison, there was dirt floors. Once later on, they put cement floors in because during World War I and II, it was munitions depot to house the Navy. We're right down the river from the old Navy Yard, so they would bring the ships down and
used during World War I and World War II.
It was used all the way up through the Korean War. Yeah, it was your longest active military fort in United States history.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So
and that's close to the airport, right? When you first fly
we're
in.
close to the airport. They expanded out. So a lot of people always say, oh, it's too noisy, you won't get anything good, but it slows down after 9 o'clock, and after midnight it's pretty dead.
Right.
You get maybe a flight here and there after midnight, and then it starts up again about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So you have a good 4 or 5 hours of nothing. It's as quiet as can be. So yeah.
And how often are you there?
It depends. I was just there. There's times I could be there 3. I'm just there for the paranormal to help out, do all the paranormal. We have other tour guides that are there for scouts and any special events. So I deal with all the paranormal, and I could be there multiple times depending on how many groups are there. So I was just there Friday night, and I'll be this weekend. I'm off. I'm at Gettysburg for the Gettysburg Bash.
Oh, you're going to see our co-founder, Scotty Burns.
Scotty Burns, yes, I'll see Scotty out there.
Yeah.
And then after that, pick up really good, and I'll be there. I'll have double headers. So Friday night overnight, Saturday nights overnight. Sometimes I'm there Monday nights, Tuesday nights. It just depends.
So when you started experiencing the paranormal at Fort Mifflin, did that pique your interest in paranormal? And now do you go to other places and investigate?
Oh yeah, I used to, once I got the interest, with the fort, I mean, like I say, it was before Ghost Hunters had their first year, but they hadn't been to the fort yet. And then um, they actually, the following year, the scouts we booked to come back to the fort, and we got bumped, and it ended up being the Ghost Hunters came in, they bumped us out. So that got my interest, and eventually, yeah, I was in some paranormal groups, went around, investigated all over the place, and then eventually I settled into to Fort Mifflin. So
It's sort of cool. We got like some pretty good like similarities. Like, if you're a paranormal investigator, you got to be pretty much a historian as well, because everything ties in with the history. And if you can get
correct.
paranormal evidence that relates to the history, it's amazing. That's all we're looking for. So we got to know the history of the location that we're investigating. But we do ghost hunting events at historical locations down here. And it was funny that you were talking about, I guess, season 1 of Ghost Adventures. There's a location that we do, the Riddle House at Yesteryear Village, and that was on season 1 as well. Ghost Adventures was there, and actually they didn't let anyone back in the attic. We were the first paranormal team to get back in the attic again. That's where all the activity is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we do a couple pretty interesting things. We also host ghost hunting events at the Gold Coast Railroad Museum. That place has got a really neat history as well. It doesn't go
military.
It doesn't go back as far as the early 1940s. During World War II, they built it as a blimp base. When German U-boats were going up and down the Florida coast, and they had these big blimps that were housed there, and they would go out, and I think it was from 1942 and then through 1943, it went down from 140 successful torpedo attacks to 4 after they built the base. So it was pretty neat stuff. Yeah, and you were saying that when the fort was originally British, right? So
Correct.
When was that built?
1771 it was laid out, to protect
Okay.
by the British. Yeah, because you still had to worry about the Spanish, the French, and everybody else. So Pennsylvania was a Quaker colony, so they didn't believe in the war and stuff. So the British made sure they started a fort. But like anything, after about 3 years, they were going over budget, and they didn't completely finish the fort. So then good old Ben Franklin, 1775, organized a fundraiser. So they shored the fort up with just where they didn't have the stone, they used earth and log just to help defend it, so because he wanted the city to protect it. And then, of course, 1776, after 1775, the first shot of Conquerville. So then it became a manned by patriots. So, yep.
And then, so just kind of describe the structure for people that haven't been there a little bit. So is there like one main fort and then there's some offshoots to it, or is it all confined in walls, or how?
Yeah, you have the outside. There's a hospital building. That's our administration building. That was built in 1812. But yeah, the fort is a mostly big walled structure. It's like the star structures that you normally see on the forts back there. We have a moat around it. And inside the fort, there's and we call it the bunk room. That's the enlistment barracks facility. Then there's a 2-story officers' quarters. There's a powder magazine that's that's covered in earth. That was for the gunpowder. There's a blacksmith building. There's artillery sheds. In the middle is the commander's house, the commandant house. There was always naval command, except for when it was a military prison.
Okay.
And that's right in the middle, and that would have been the citadel too. If they breached the walls, that would have made their last stand in there. And we have a torpedo magazine. That was the last structure built there in the 1870s, where they dug a trench out to the out to the Delaware River, and
that's pretty cool.
they thought they could drop these primitive torpedoes, light them, and shoot them out and hit ships, but they realized how impractical it was. That that they didn't ever use it for that. And we have the quartermaster building where the bathroom is and a gift shop is, and we have the old armory, and then the casemates where they were initially under Adams, built for the bombardment for the troops to seek shelter, and then that became the military prison cells at Civil War. And then there is they did expand later on down the river, so there are gun emplacements and casemates outside the walls that run down about a quarter of a mile down on the river. So it's a total of 40 acres there.
Oh wow!
Oh wow, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a. Have you ever come down this way? You ever been down to Key West or anywhere down?
Not Key West, just down. I've been down to St. Augustine, down all the way down to Florida. I had relatives down there, and the Gulf Coast a lot of times.
The Fort Zachary Taylor in Key West is one of those traditional kind of star style, and that kind of reminds me a little bit, but it's a lot smaller than what you're talking about. But what did kind of piqued my interest, which was something that reminded me of this, is how you were talking about this soldier that represents kind of like walks around and talks to people and shows people around. At Zachary Taylor, there was a Civil War soldier that supposedly was coming to one of the employees there that was a archaeologist and was trying to figure out what was going on and like go digging, came to him in a dream supposedly and kind of told him. And then he started telling him some things, and then he saw him at the fort, and he asked him, "Hey, I'm looking for this cache from this year. Where should we search?" And he supposedly, this is all a story, right? But he told him where to dig.
Wow!
And he dug and in that area, and he found all this ammunition and guns and everything that were buried on the fort. So pretty interesting stuff. I was looking into that when I spent some time there. So. Really, really neat stuff.
A lot of people died of yellow fever there too.
Yeah,
that's right. Yep. Yeah, and then you said that the fort also was used for that as well, right? During yellow fever, did they use it as a hospital?
it was rebuilt by the French under John Adams in the late 1790s. So then the yellow fever, so that they would actually stop the ships out, on the river by the fort, and then there was a doctor to go out and check, and then anybody that was sick, they pull them off and they take them to another spot a little up farther the river. But and then they'd have to have the ship anchored for so long to make sure no one else got sick. And then eventually they moved. They made they had it's called the lazaretto, where they would have the sick, and they moved that later on down the river. So it was farther from Philadelphia, but of course that didn't help with anything,
So the Delaware River, so the fort was like right there on Philadelphia on the Delaware River. How far does that river go up? Does that go all the way up to like the Delaware and New York?
Oh yeah, that goes. It's the whole coast of Pennsylvania. The boundary is the Delaware River. Goes all the way up.
So Eric, where we were at White Hill Mansion, that was on the Delaware River.
That's right on the Delaware River. Yep, and it goes all the way down in the Delaware Bay, and which flows into the Atlantic. And
okay, so, all right. So ships can go all the way up that far up.
They can go up pretty far. Yeah, they can go up pretty far before it gets narrow. I mean, they go up to Bristol and farther up. But yeah, I mean, the fort was, when it was built, it was an island. It was Mud Island.
Okay.
And the channel goes right in front of the fort, and till this day. You have all the, you can look up. I mean, we are literally below the water level at high tide. We have a seawall that keeps the water out. But you can be in the fort and you look up, especially when you see one of those car carriers. There's a big Kia and Hyundai. They come up and they load them off in Philly. And you look at them and they're sitting way up. They're like 10 stories high. And it's just amazing. Wow. You see these huge boats go by, but yeah, it's very active. But they put the fort right there. The channel is right in front of the fort.
Now, didn't they during the Revolutionary War, didn't the Americans like had control of it and then lost it to the British?
Yeah, it
in the
was
battle?
6 week siege, 5 week siege, excuse me. Yeah, Howe took Phil. There was the Battle of Brandywine down in Chadds Ford, which was your largest land battle in the Revolutionary War.
Mhm.
Washington got outflanked, retreated. That's when Continental Congress and everybody skedaddled out of Philadelphia. They went out to York and made a capital out there for the time being. But then Hal had some, Hal came up. He went around, came from New York, went around, came up to Chesapeake and landed in Maryland and marched up. And then they went into Philadelphia. Excuse me, September, I think it was 21st, he entered Philadelphia, but we still had the fort.
Uh-huh.
And then 250 British ships are coming with the Delaware to resupply, and these guys, and there was a fort across the river, Fort Mercer, Red Bank. We held them off for 5 weeks before eventually, they just pounded the hell out of the fort. 1,000 to 1,100 cannonballs an hour. They just shot on the fort and just decimated these guys. Out of 400
How many
men,
ships did they have out there?
250 were coming up.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Imagine
the Americans.
seeing that.
Yeah, Americans sunk these spikes just under the water line across the Delaware, and they had some chains out there and stuff. So they had that slowed the British up.
Right.
So it just became a shooting gallery between shooting back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, a big nor'easter came, raised their water level so they could get their ships around, the back channel around the fort, and then just like I say, just opened up and decimated it. And so you had 400 men, and out of 400, you had 150 that were able to escape and sneak across the Delaware over to Fort
because
Mercer.
the British, they had their strength in numbers in Boston and pretty much worked their way down. Were they going?
Yeah, they were.
down the Delaware
They had taken New York at that time, and
Yeah.
Hal decided he figured if he took the capital of the rebels, he'd end the war. So that's why, and they knew, like I said, they built Fort Mifflin and they built other forts on the Delaware, so they knew not to come up the Delaware. They came up to Chesapeake and then marched all the way from.
And we got real lucky winning this thing. I mean, we probably should have lost this war with British.
Yeah, well, Washington was a genius. I mean, he lost as many battles as he won, but he knew the hit, harass, and retreat.
Right, yeah.
And he just dragged it out. It was a war of attrition.
Yeah.
And what's amazing, if with the Vietnam War, Ho Chi Minh based his warfare on Washington's tactics, just hit and miss. Hit them, retreat, and everything, just drag it out. Eventually it gets to the point of attrition where it's like enough's enough.
Yeah, because the British soldiers, they marched in a straight line, and they figured the bigger in numbers and they shoot in that one straight line that it'll be hard to miss anything.
Yeah,
but if you hit them from all over the place, like, they're helpless.
Well, that's it. The Revolutionary War was when the first of the guerrilla warfare.
Exactly.
The British weren't used to that. They come in all cocky, playing their bagpipes and beating their drums, and march in and thought they'd scare everybody, and they lined shoulder to shoulder. And our guys, guerrilla warfare, they learned that from the French and Indians. Yeah, snipers. They take out the officers. They go right for the officers. So yeah,
very cool history.
It is.
But Mike, we're at that halfway point, aren't we?
We are already.
We got to pay some bills, Greg.
Okay.
All right, so we just got a couple little things we're going to play here, and we'll be right back.
What's up, my paranormal peeps? I'm Eric Vanderlaan, and I'm the host of War Party Paranormal Radio, and also the team leader of War Party Paranormal Research. And we got an exciting announcement to let you guys know tonight, and it involves stuff like this, and my co-host is going to tell you all about it.
What's up, guys? I'm Mike Del Coro with War Party, obviously. We are a technical team, and we always have people ask us, where can we get equipment like this? Well, you can get it from the ghosthunterstore.com. We got a nice little sponsorship worked out with them. We're going to be doing some giveaways, so stay tuned. Very, very cool, and go check them out at the ghosthunterstore.com. Peace.
That's our friend Dave Giuliano.
Yeah.
Dave.
And guys, if you guys use that code Ghost Gone Wild at the end of your purchase when you're checking out the cart, you're going to get a discount on your order. Also got some really nice, pretty exciting news that I'm excited about. Hopefully you are too. Is that Dave at the Ghost Hunter store is now going to be exclusively selling the Delco goggles that I created. They're going to be up there sometime this week, and stay posted, and we'll let you know more about that coming soon. Yeah, check them out. They
don't get the imitation.
Yeah, exactly. You'll see it.
Yeah,
also,
they look cool.
Yeah, man, it's really neat. You know, I've had a lot of people asking for them and this, that, and the other thing, and you know, we're sponsored by Dave, and he has a store, so it worked out really well. And people
we'll have to do it in one of those cases over there at Fort Mifflin.
Heck yeah, we will.
Oh yeah,
We'll down in case goggles on Greg. See what he gets.
Exactly. And then we just got one more thing here. We're gonna play Fuel Up.
What's up, my paranormal people? Eric and Mike here from the War Party Paranormal Radio Show, wanting you to remember the importance of hydration. Remember, we hunt ghosts. We don't want to turn into ghosts. Dehydration can lead to inflammation and even degenerative disease. So hydration is crucial.
Whether you're up all night investigating the paranormal, sky watching, or Bigfoot, Fuel Up Hydration System is designed to support motivation, concentration, and rejuvenation with the best immune-enhancing delivery system available today.
Experience the benefits of Fuel Up with their Feel the Difference money-back guarantee.
Visit fuelup.gg/warparty for their special offer that includes free shipping. Fuel Up for life. Hey, Eric, how do we do?
It's awesome.
All right. Well, maybe we should stick to hunting ghosts. I don't know if commercials is our thing.
True that. I always love the cowbell in that song.
Yeah.
More cowbell.
We need more cowbell.
We need more cowbell.
So yeah, guys, check that out. Good stuff. Fuelup.gg/warparty for your special offer. And geez, man, it's only the beginning of summer and it is brutal out there. So make sure you stay hydrated.
You can use that at Fort Mifflin. Greg.
Yeah, exactly. When you're
oh, definitely. It gets, you know,
those all-nighters.
Those all-nighters, yeah. And it gets so, you know, we're right by the river, so it
humid, right?
Gets humid.
Yeah. Sounds like where we're at.
Yeah.
So also, last but not least, we have a little show called The Haunted Files on Paraflix. And we have our season finale coming out this Friday, the 14th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love for you guys to check it out, support us, and here's a little trailer on that, and then we'll be back with the season 2 coming soon. So it's definitely going to be a season 2. So
we're already working on it.
Already working.
Yep.
We gonna look for some ghosts.
This house has seen death.
It's getting crazy in here.
And those are the stairs where people is getting touched and pushed.
So that was spooky.
We're going to give it a shot. We're going to do the Delco experiment. Is that you standing next to us? This is nuts. Nuts.
You died.
Okay.
Excited about that one. We captured some really remarkable stuff that
disembodied voices too.
I was going to say we don't want to give it away, but
I didn't say what kind.
But there's some really neat stuff that really correlates with the history, and we wouldn't have known that if we weren't with Chessie. She is a friend of ours. Actually, was on.
She's our historian on our team,
and she is the curator at the House of Refuge. So, yeah, we were doing some stuff during the night, and that's when she was like, oh, she just remembered that, oh, wait, this lines up with this. And some of the stuff that happened was just absolutely unbelievable. So really looking forward for that one.
Greg, that's an invite for you, by the way.
Sounds cool.
Heck yeah. So, yeah, hopefully maybe we'll have a Paraflix Haunted Files episode of Fort Mifflin where we can get Greg out there and have him do a little showing us around.
Yeah, talk him up.
So right. How often does the activity happen there? Is it like
all the time? It's all the time, day, night. Yeah, I mean, like I say, just our executive director, Beth, she's there. She's only a full-time person there, and that works at the fort. But she gets greeted every morning. Either she gets out of her car and she gets said hello, or she'll walk in the fort to check and she says hello. She gets said hello. So. It's all the time.
You sure you don't need another paranormal host? Or like, I can like volunteer. Maybe I can I can sweep the sidewalks or something. I'll do anything.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like I say, when I first started doing the overnights by myself and everything, they test it. They test you, and you're closing up doors and they're banging on doors behind you. They're just seeing what you're made of, and I mean, slamming, you hear doors being slammed it's just,
I want that.
Yeah, they test you. And like I say, we have some guides that won't stay over the fort at night anymore because their experiences. So we ended up having one guy that would only would hang a hammock and sleep in the hammock because he wouldn't go into any buildings at night. It's whenever. Just anytime. You it's walk around and see stuff or hear stuff.
When you say that is we have doing what we do. We have people always ask us, oh, why do people only investigate at night? I said, well, if it's haunted, it's haunted 24 hours a day.
Correct.
At night, it just tends to be a little bit more quiet, a little less,
You pick up things with cameras that you can't get during the day.
And your body, your senses are more in tune, exactly. Your hearing and everything. And a lot of places, they're open to the public during the day. You close up at night. That's when you can get into places. So,
exactly.
Well, I like what you said earlier. Like, I mean, you get your names called out. It's like you've been there so many times. You're building relationships because they were real people.
Right.
And Mike was discussing the Gold Coast Railroad Museum. That place there, like, that's one of the places where, like, they're pretty much welcoming us when we come. I mean, I get my name called out all the time. And it's because we frequented the place so many times. I've been there during the night. Do you do like what I do? Like whenever I go to some place, like this is my go-to place. This is the place where like I've seen the most activity. When I go to another well-known location, I want to see how it stacks up. For example, we went to Waverly Hills, and to me, I'm like thinking, okay, I want to see how this stacks up to Gold Coast. We got some stuff at Waverly, but not like what we would at Gold Coast. But the only reason why I think that is because we were building relationships with these spirits. And they know
correct.
us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because when I'm good, like a group comes in and I'm taking them around and just talking, they respond to my talking, and so that's. I always just tell everybody, just sit and talk and respect the people, talk to the people, talk to them. And, you'll get your best results and, just hang
out.
There
are people, you're not doing an interrogation. What's your favorite color?
Yeah. How did you die? I mean, just,
By the way, thank you, Joe Fox. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, for sure. And that's kind of what happens is you get you get investigators that are going to come in and whatever. And sometimes, it might not be as active some nights. I feel like sometimes they don't want to be bothered with the same thing, That's why I try to make it interesting. I'm a firm believer in trigger objects and different things, and bring stuff that can relate to that era or those people, like playing maybe music of that era and things of that nature. But yeah, and we always tend to be respectful always, because we do. War Party Paranormal was founded as doing residential cases, and that's what we specialize in. And then we started doing ghost hunting events and different things to get our name out there, meet people, meet the public, bring awareness. So credibility is everything, so even in our show and everything of that nature, we're always respectful, and we want to make sure we earn people's trust. So, but
and I'll tell you one thing, if you're nice and being respectful, you're going to get so much more evidence than you are being an ass.
That's yes, sure. You get more bees with honey. I believe.
Exactly. Yep. You don't have to be a Zach Bagans.
Yeah, and and there's so many times too where we've had things, whatever it is that we're speaking to, or whoever or whatever, that come out, nasty. We might start getting EVPs that are a little nasty, right? Instead of jumping right to the D word, right? Sometimes we'll go, hey, that's not very nice. We came over here to talk to you. We're trying to establish communication. Let's see if we could chat. I'm going to disregard that. Let's go ahead and start over, and and then you will see the whole tone change, or if you tell them, hey, listen, you know what, you're not going to scare me. I've been all over. I've seen a lot of different things. I'm not going to get scared. So let's just sit down and talk man to man or whatever it is. And why don't you and then when you start acting that way, it seems like you get a lot more communication.
Correct. I mean, we have some, like I say, we have some pissed off spirits. They're nothing negative, nothing demonic. No matter what some of the shows.
Yeah, well, that's the hot thing right now. People want to get scared, so everything's a demon. But, I always say, if you were an a-hole in life, you're probably going to be an a-hole in your afterlife. If you don't want to be bothered.
Correct. I mean, we have, like I say, it's mostly the political prisoners. They were just civilians that were just hauled off from their house and thrown in prison. We have one particular one that he drops the F-bomb all the time, and I tell people, if you get you'll get that F-bomb, and he greets me F you Greg, or Greg F you. I don't know why him and I call it like a love-hate relationship. So he identifies as the judge, and we did have one of the political prisoners was an active sitting judge, Jacob Wilhelm. He was hauled off and thrown in prison at the fort. He got so sick that when they pulled him out, they were taking him back to his house, and he died, and he shunned the fort. So, so you can imagine, being just thrown into basically dungeons, and just
I don't
slowly dying. You're going to be a little
ticked off. Yeah.
Well, Greg, when you go to Gettysburg Saturday, make sure you talk to Scotty, because she'll tell you that she's out of all the people I know, she's the one that gets the most FUs.
Oh, good. All right, that's good. It's nice to know.
She used to be a bouncer one day. Younger days. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'll
she
see
comes
her.
off the right way. But she is a nice person. She brings baked goods, so that's good.
Yeah,
she brings sweets.
Good.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one this year. As always, the Gettysburg Bash. It's put on for really good reasons. For the
wounded
warriors
and other groups.
So it's a great event there, and kudos to everybody that's going there and supporting that.
Yep, that's this weekend, so that's going to be a lot of good fun, and get to see everybody, and it's always a good cause.
So when you're out there, do you have your own paranormal equipment, or you're more? You've probably experienced so much stuff. I don't really need anything. It's just something.
Yeah, well, I have it. We do. We have our. Of course, we have the paranormal groups that come in. We do our own. We call it open investigation events, where it's open to novices, first timers, to the people that show up in their U-Hauls with every piece of the ghost hunting equipment there is.
Right.
So, I'll have equipment with that, but when any other time, I just like to go and plop myself down in like either Casemate 5 or somewhere and just sit and talk. And, you know, my goal is to have a face-to-face
Yes.
interaction. I mean, I've seen full bodies, I've heard voices. You know, I just want to be able to sit and talk face to face, like the tour guy does. So
I'm a big geek, so I do love the equipment, but I also sometimes I got to remember and tell myself, all right, enough of the equipment, because you lose focus.
Correct.
Sometimes it's nice to go and maybe just, and like you said, just have maybe just one recorder or something and just sit and not worry about nothing and use your body experience and
try to see if you can hear things. Maybe you
Right.
might get touched.
Feel
who knows?
Yep. Use your body as your equipment, and that's my goal right now.
Yeah.
Just hang out and let them come.
So you know what? We're a little bit towards the end of part of the show, and I know we showed that photo in the beginning, and I think I would like to show it again for some of the people that came in.
Oh yeah, that's right. And we have other photos as well. Let me put that up there. So this is the most.
Hold on, before we show it, let's have Greg explain what we're going to put up there.
Okay.
This is probably our tour guide ghost that shows up. I mean, this was a school group that was there, and we didn't have this revolutionary tour guide wasn't part of the class. It wasn't there, and this kid was just taking pictures, and then when he got home, his mom was going through everything and saw this picture and contacted the fort and said, "What is yeah."
And from you looking at that picture, you can tell where it is.
It's Casemate 5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right.
I'll pop it up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Guys, check this out. So, I mean, I've never seen a picture this incredible. I mean, like I said, you can almost see the buttons on his jacket, the hat, his face, all the facial features. Is that, and it even looks like he has his hand in his jacket, which was a way that they used to stand to take pictures, right? That meant
well,
something.
they didn't take pictures back then.
No, but even later, but that was a thing too.
Like
but like when you put your hand in your jacket like that, wasn't that like some kind of a sign, like the way you stood, like I don't know,
like a pose, or like you always see Napoleon with his hand there. But I'm not sure if he was with that, because you look, it's straight down the middle, it cuts off. And then when you see the actual picture, you can actually see behind, the stone.
Greg, that's
wall.
who you want to talk to. That's who you
yeah.
want to
Oh, that's what I try.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to. One of the trying to get in touch with them. I mean,
that is so cool.
Yeah. So that's Casemate 5. That during the Civil War, the Casemate 5 is where they housed the Union prisoners. But of course, these guys wandered the whole fort. So he was probably following the school group around and just was hanging out. That's right at by the entrance to Casemate 5. He's just hanging out at the entrance, looking in when they caught him.
Wow. Isn't that something?
I heard that there's a spirit of a headless soldier that his head got blown off by a cannonball. Is that true?
Yeah, there's headless. There's plenty of them. I mean, excuse me. During the siege, 1,000 cannonballs, 1,100 cannonballs an hour. These guys were just getting decimated, and eventually, we were running out of cannonballs.
How'd you get hit in the effing face with a cannonball?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff coming in, right? But these guys, they were running out of cannonballs to shoot back, so they were giving the guys shots of rum to go out and get a cannonball, retrieve a cannonball, so we could shoot it back at the British. So eventually, you get so many shots of rum, you're not trying to retrieve a cannonball, you're fighting to catch a cannonball. So it didn't work out too well. So it's documented. There's a book.
They were probably just stuffing anything they could in there, huh? It's like the silverware, like anything.
Oh, they were
shooting
putting it's grape shot. They put the really small, like the
Yeah,
quarter
like
size, the
almost
little
like a
guys.
shotgun.
We
Yeah,
got buckets of them that been recovered. I mean, just buckets
really.
of them
That's
that
so cool.
laying around. Yeah, when I Gettysburg, I always bring a bunch of some the
You
grape shots and
you sent me some other pictures.
yep.
This one's pretty cool. Can you explain this one? And I'll pop it up. And I also zoomed it. I got 2 photos of
Oh,
this.
good. Yeah, Casemate 5. This was I was with the scout group, and he just walked in there, took this picture, and he looked and he started screaming. And I was there with him. And if you zoom in on that, you see these faces looking back
I
at you.
know. I saw that. Is there a light there? Any type of
There,
light on that wall?
there's no light back there. There's openings back there for ventilation.
Okay.
So you can have some sunlight, but that big glare, there's no light back there at all. There's no light.
Well, I see a perfect face
Yes.
right on the top in the middle of all those lights with the
Yep.
nose and
Oh, the nose, the eyes. I mean, there's a lot of. If you look at them, you'll see some profiles. You just see a lot of them. And Casemate 5, like I say, that's where I interact with the judge a lot, and there's a lot of activity in there.
That's where I want to go sit by myself in the dark.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Delco
I
experiment.
tried spending a night in there by myself, and it was I'm laying down, and every time I closed my eyes, it was like somebody shining a flashlight in my face. You're looking through your eyelids, and it's red, and then you hear the footsteps going up and down the hallway.
Wow.
You hear the moans.
Live listening would be the perfect thing to do there.
Yeah. So that's Casemate 5. So that's one of our, notoriously most haunted spots.
I still can't get over that picture, man.
And then you got this picture.
Yeah. That's the officers' quarters. You look down in the lower right, you'll see this little girl looking in. She's got
She
has a bonnet. You see the eyes and the nose.
It's on the bottom second row in the middle.
Yeah, I took that picture. She, it was in the officers, and it makes sense because there was children, and children did die at the fort. Officers had their wives and children, so we have documented deaths of women and children. I've seen 2 little blondes. I think the brother and sister, they run around a lot. They giggle. They interact with the people a lot, the children. So you hear them. They like playing games, and a lot of times females will feel a little hand grab their hands. They're very active.
Yeah, when we were up at just for the guests, when we were up at White Hill Mansion Paracon, and Greg had his his table set up, we had our set up, and we were walking over there. You had like a binder, like full of of photos and different things, and we were like scrolling through these photos and just like with our mouths like hanging open. It was just amazing.
Yeah. Most of these pictures, like have been taken by people that come into the fort, and it's like, oh my God, they just, because we tell people, especially if you feel something, you think something's around, take the pictures, and people go in and just walking around, like I say, Wednesday through Friday. If there's no school group, we might get a few people in there, and
I hate to interrupt real quick, but we got a little compliant thing that we have to do. I hate to interrupt. Yeah, we got to be very compliant here, but I just want, because we have other listeners on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network that are listening to our show, and they're going to be going on to the next show. But those of you that are listening and want to continue to listen, if you go to the War Party Paranormal YouTube page, you'll be able to watch and listen, so you can check them out. And then those of you that are not on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network, check them out. Super affordable. They got great shows. We're not the only one. They talk about everything. UFOs. They got a MUFON show on there. They got Bishop Long, who's been on Ghost Adventures. They talk about cryptids. They have other paranormal shows. So yeah, check them out, and we can continue now. How'd I do, Mike?
Did fantastic, brother.
All right, awesome. Always got to be in compliant. I used to be in banking, Greg, so I know.
I see Good question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gives
with
you a question there.
May. Yeah. Yeah, May. She's a regular at the fort. Hi, May. But yeah, we get things sent back to the fort a lot in the mail, and
Oh,
she's talking
really?
about, oh yeah, people pick things up, and the parking lot. There's a lot of little crushed stones, different stones in there, and we got an envelope come back dressed to Fort Mifflin, and please return these stones to the parking lot. When I'm sorry I took them, and we've had all kinds of weird activity at the house ever since I brought them home. So
That
Oh
sounds like
wow.
Robert the Doll down in Key
Yeah, Robert
West.
Sedal.
Have you heard
yeah,
of Robert the Doll?
yes, I've heard of Robert the
You got to
Doll.
ask
Yeah,
permission to do anything, and if you don't,
yeah,
he's going to curse you. So he has
yeah,
all these letters of people who like apologize, like all these
yep.
crazy things happen to them, and I'm so sorry, and blah blah blah.
We
Yep.
have a question here. Sure. Anybody that wants to ask a question can ask a question in the comments.
Yeah,
here.
definitely. Isabel, ask your question. Oh, here we go. All right. I would like to know what I should do. Wait, let me start again. I would like to know what I should do, evolve my spiritist side, because I see many paranormal things and would like to try to communicate with these things. So I guess that's like for all of us.
Yeah. I just say just sit down, acknowledge them. You
Yeah.
know? Just acknowledge and just let them know, they're there, and that I mean, if they're not doing anything bad or harming, I mean, it's just let them know they're
Yeah.
there. And
People have to realize just because it's paranormal doesn't mean it's like evil. I mean, a lot of the places that we investigate, they're pretty much like just good energy. It's just memories that have lingered on. The only places where we feel negative energy is in bad places. So you do want to stay away from
Correct.
negative energy, but there's nothing wrong. I mean, you don't need like cases and cases of paranormal equipment. You can just hang out there by yourself. Maybe even use a recorder on your phone. Take pictures on your phone. It's amazing what you can get on your phone.
So just a real quick, as kind of like a little bit of a rule of thumb is that we tend to, as investigators, we try not to do it in our own homes, because then you're inviting, things in to communicate. So we make sure that we try not to do it in our own home.
Don't want to open up a portal.
Well, that's the thing is because when you open yourself up to communication with any of these things, that it either the door is open or it's shut. You can't really control who is going to be there, and if it's something that where you're startled easily and they realize that they can communicate with you, they might start bothering you, and it could turn into fear and things like that. So just make sure you're cautious about it.
Yeah, know what you're getting into. I mean, it's nothing to joke around with.
Correct.
It's not like a game. So if you want to communicate with them, what I would do personally is go to a reputable paranormal team if you want to get involved and, try to learn from some good people. And I like what James Cummings says. Most of the time, they just want acknowledgement. They don't want to feel like they're forgotten. And I've experienced that as well.
Exactly. Good stuff there for sure. So you were saying that you found these grape shot all over and everything. What other are they still uncovering anything ever? Like you get
right now, we're not allowed to do any digging or anything since we're a National Historic Site. We're trying to get some archaeologists in and do some digging and finding stuff. I mean, stuff does pop up. I mean, the one time we just they were clearing an area and discovered a button from 1812 back outside the fort. Trying to clean that up so for trails, nature trail and things. And there was some what they were called mortar casemates. They were stuck in the back, and they were overgrown. And when getting back clearing that, we actually found two of the anti-aircraft gun muzzles.
Oh, really?
So we recovered them, and they're in the artillery shed. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff still around.
Imagine what's underneath the water in that river.
But the river,
find in there.
well, Army Corps of Engineers is right next to us, and yes, when they dredge, they're always finding stuff, and that's why we get a lot of the cannonballs.
Any old money?
Well, the Augusta, that was a British ship that was sunk during the Battle of 1777. That was they did go into there because that had the pay. So that was a treasure hunt, and they actually raised that ship like back in the 1940s or 50s or something. So that they did recover stuff, some gold and silver from that for the soldier pay. But yeah, it would be
Delaware
nice
River,
to.
I never even thought about that. Like, it's probably just so much stuff down there.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, stuff just washing down from Philadelphia from the old 1700s. I mean, it's just be a ton of stuff down there. Low tide, I love walking. When Delaware River's
You got a
tidal
metal
river.
detector?
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to use that. But
really?
I have a one of those magnet fishing things.
Magnet fishing, yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
so I'll toss that out in the river and stuff, and I mean, I go out in the river,
Well, that leads into like our episode that's coming on. That's going to be debuting Friday. The House of Refuge. It's off the Treasure Coast of South Florida, and the reason why they call it the Treasure Coast is there were so many shipwrecks. From the reefs that are along there. And people are still finding stuff. You just go with the metal detector, Mike knows, and just walk along the beach, and who knows what you can find, especially like after there's a storm.
Yeah, they wash everything up. Yep, stir it up. So yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff still buried there. It's just because like I say, it was active all the way through 1954. So there's stuff that was thrown into the moat, and just
and then like you were saying earlier too about the cannonballs. Imagine how many cannonballs there's probably still down there, right?
Oh, definitely. When the British, the Americans abandoned the fort, they didn't surrender. They never surrendered. They just abandoned it. When the British came in, they said it was like a cow pasture. Just it was just like it was plowed up. There was so much, it was just carnage.
Wow.
So there's stuff still, even though it it got used that long, there's stuff still buried in there.
Wow. Amazing. Now I want to get over there even more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there. It's just, I tell people, some people they want to. There's a lot to investigate. It's spread out good, and you don't have to hit every inch of the fort. If you go there and it's active in a spot, just stay in that spot.
Yeah. It's kind of like what I say too. It's like fishing, right? Like you don't want to leave fish to go find fish.
Correct.
If you're somewhere and it's active, stay there, check it out.
Stay there.
Unless you get scared.
Yeah. Like I say, there's just tons of, there's the casemates, we have even casemate 11, which is solitary confinement, and the blacksmith, the barracks.
Like me, a good solitary confinement, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's in there. That was just re-excavated about 16 years ago. That got buried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they used it. It was the original powder magazine and then in Civil War it became a solitary confinement. And then when the torpedo magazine, which was built the last, when they were putting that up, they buried the casemate 11, and then they put new gun placements above it. So when they re-excavated it, it was like an Egyptian tomb. It was just everything was pristine in there. They found prisoners that were in there wrote their names all over the walls. There was the potty chambers, their eating utensils, broken bottle, all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, so that's a wild spot to.
I would have liked to see them try that torpedo thing. That would have been pretty cool to watch.
Would have been watching.
Stay back far away.
I was thinking they probably did a test fire and the thing turned around and was coming back at the fort, and they go, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, that might be good. Yeah.
Pre-GPS.
Right.
We think it will work.
Yeah, right.
Goes upriver and hits something in Philly. Who knows?
Well, Greg, we're coming towards the end of the show. Is there anything that you want to plug about yourself? Anything coming up? Anything about the fort that maybe people should be aware of?
Yeah, the fort. If people are interested in the fort, our website is fortmifflin.us. And you can go there and see all the events we do. We have, besides, paranormal is the history.
Yeah.
We have Civil War reenactments. Since it was a military prison Civil War, we have November every year, the reenactment of the siege. We do World War II reenactments. We have Pirate Days, because pirates did come up the Delaware River. There's all kinds of activities that happen at the fort, and you could just go and see there. And there's events you can go down, and then there's educational for school groups.
Okay.
So fort's rented out. We can rent that out at overnight for paranormal or 6 hour, or again, we have our open investigation if you're in the area. Our next one's August 5th. That goes 7 to midnight, and that's open for first timers through, again, we have regulars that have come all the time, and they have every kind of equipment you can think of. So
Very
it's
cool.
always good. So yeah, get out to the fort. History, like I say, the history is there, and we're right on the river. If you love watch boats, we're by the airport. You want to watch airplanes, lots of wildlife. So it's a great place.
Very cool.
Sounds like a phenomenal place, guys. Make sure that you guys check it out. If you're local to the area too, or if not, and you're heading up that way, just make sure you pay a little visit. It's one of our oldest forts, big part of the American history. So, and we got to love what they're doing there, and want to keep this place funded, keep it around, and show our support. And for me, guys, if you guys want to check out any of my personal content, the easiest way is if you go over to my website, flaparanormalresearcher.com. And that has all the up-to-date social media links, different things. I have a blog on there. And I'll also be talking about when my new goggles are released at the Ghost Hunter store. Make sure you guys check out warpartyparanormal.com. It has all our upcoming events, different things, everything's there. And Eric, how about you?
I'm actually pulling up our events right now because I don't know the exact date, but I want everyone to know so they can get their tickets now because they do sell out. So yeah, in August, we're going to have 2 back-to-back events. And one is going to be on a Friday night at the Old Davie Schoolhouse Museum. And that's like a 3-in-1 deal because they also have 2 historical homes that they moved back here and refurbished. And those 2 places have activity. So that's going to be on the 13th. And then
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. What better night do you want to have for an investigation? You gotta want to have it on Friday the 13th, right? And then the next day, Saturday, we have Yesteryear Village. And that's like a 1 in 20?
Yeah, that place is fantastic. It's a living historical park.
Yep.
So it's got multiple buildings all over that are all been moved there and saved and preserved, and each one has its own what would you say
personalities. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the most famous one is the Riddle House. It was featured on Ghost Adventures, but that's not the most active house or active building. There's other ones there. They got the Fire Museum, super active. We call it the Murder House. It's the L Street house where an Asian woman hacked up her husband in the bathtub. So that place is pretty active.
Sushi.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we got some pretty cool places there.
Yeah, the old Bell South Museum, pineapple processing plant. There's a bunch of little places there, and they're all, and actually going back to Civil War is the pineapple processing plant. There was a Civil War soldier that stumbled upon it after being shot, and he lost his life inside that building. And supposedly the story is that there's a blood stain there. You can actually see it when you walk in, and they've tried to get rid of it and do everything. It keeps coming back. Pretty wild stuff. So yeah, check it out. So just if you guys want to check out any of those dates, just head over to warpartyparanormal.com or our Facebook.
Yep, that's right. And if you want to follow my stuff, Ghost Hunter South Florida, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Now I'm doing the Instagram threads. Mike got me hooked on that. So it's sort of like a Twitter.
Yeah, I had to check it out, see what it's all about.
So I just started that. And then more importantly, this Friday night on Paraflix, Haunted Files season finale, House of Refuge. You gotta check it out. We put a lot of good work into it. I put some sweat and tears in it. Came out amazing, and we got some amazing results. So definitely check it out. And we're already working on season 2, so get ready for that.
Yeah, and if you guys follow the Haunted Files on Instagram, you'll see we put a trailer for everything that's coming up, and keep that up to speed so you can see what episodes are coming out. But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight, and we want to thank again Greg for
Thank you,
Greg.
Greg.
Thank you for
appreciate
all the knowledge.
it. Thank you.
And
you're gonna take us home.
Yeah, we'll see you
All
guys
right.
next Monday.
All right.